This is the platoon situation.
Darin lifts it in the air to left field. Myers can't see it. He has no idea where it is, but it doesn't matter because Ramirez is out. Oh, he dropped it! The infield fly rule was called. The runners do not have to advance. They do on their own responsibility. The batter is out. A run does score. We're tied at 3. And I think Pete Buchanan he may not argue this one, but the third base umpire, Will Little, signaled infield fly. It harkens back to the postseason in Atlanta several years ago where that happens. Now, Ted Barrett and Angel Hernandez are going to confer up the first base line, and Pete Buchanan's coming out. We saw this in Atlanta several years ago. It's too deep for an infield fly rule.
Not only is it too deep, but if Will Myers doesn't see it, the infielder has to be camped under the ball.
Absolutely. He has an argument with this. Will Little, and again, from a real estate standpoint, we were told back in the postseason several years ago that it was the right call. But in this case, the infielder did not show that he was camped under it and was settled under it at the time. No, Odubel was tagged out at third, so that should be 3 outs.
Well, you see the umpire right here. Okay, he's going to get in a situation where he goes and raises his hand. That's Will Little right there. He throws his hand up. But Ramirez is nowhere near camped underneath that baseball.
Now, the run did score before the out was recorded at third. That should be 3 outs.
Well, the run scored first.
Yes, it did. That's what I said. But it still should be 3 outs.
So why is Odubel back at third base then?
Well, he just went back on his own. All right, so the umpires will take a look at it in New York. This is going to be a rules clarification, which they are allowed to do. At least this is the first time we've seen it. By rule, they can clarify a rule by going to New York, which is what they're doing right now. And they're also checking to see if the run scored before Odubel was out at third base. One of the saving graces for the Phillies is that Amarista at third took his time stepping on the bag and then applying the tag.
This crowd is into it. You can see everybody down the first and third base lines are all on their feet waiting to hear the decision.
All right, so my bad. There was nobody out, so there would be 2 outs now. My bad, 2 outs. So let's scrap that. My apologies on that. But the game would be tied at 3. So this is a rules clarification. So here we go. Watch the umpire. He's calling the infield fly. And Ramirez does not have it. He throws to third. The run crosses the plate. He does tag him. So we could assume then that the umpires are looking at this to see if it's a rules clarification. Pete Buchanan went out and questioned it right away. Now, so we're kind of learning along with everybody else at this point anyway, because they can go to the replay to see if there's a rules clarification. So let's take a listen, or look at least.
And no matter what happens on the call, as of right now,
he's out at third. So that's what they were looking at. So he's out at third. He's out at first. 2 outs. A run scores. So we're tied up at 3. And my apologies for thinking that there was, in the confusion, that there was 1 out already.
And again, no, it's on a play where it's a pop up where you advance on your own.
You advance on your own, which is what happened. So the putout goes 6-5 at third base. Maikel Franco does go to second. And the putout for Ruff goes to the shortstop, and we've got another pitching change. It's the wrong call, I mean, in reality,
yes,
because the infielder was not camped out under it, and it was not comfortably camped out under it, but it was called.
Well, and unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about calling the out early by the third base umpire. You have to leave alone. Now
Correct.
It's just a matter of where the people
That's
are.
exactly right. So we'll take a break. We've got a pitching change here at Citizens Bank Park.